Hello, what's up guys? Well, back once again for another fight card prediction. We're here for UFC Fight Night Vegas 7. Pedro Munhoz against Frankie Edgar, who makes the jaunt down to 135 for the first time. That's going to be interesting to see. That's our main event. Overall, I'm not sure this is all that great a fight card, but there's some fighters in here that I don't think really deserve to be in the UFC, but during these times, the UFC are just wanting to put fights on. And that they're doing that here kind of week in and week out. So just thank you for all the support. Thank you for all the likes, the comments, and we're on the mission to try and hit 4,000 subs. So if you're new, just hit that sub button and we'll get going there. I'm not going to try and take too much of your time in this card here. There is some fights I've not really got the opportunity to look too much into. I kind of lost myself looking into the Dana White Contender Series, and that really didn't work out too well because I shot the bed with that last night. But I had a feeling that I was going to do bad in that card. But I'd like to do better, but it is what it is. I did well the first 2 weeks, and last night it wasn't great. So we'll get into this one here. So Timur Valiev against Striegl. When I looked at Striegl, the guy looks a bit of a physical freak. He looks jacked. Decent striking, decent overall game, but I think it's against very low caliber opposition. And then you've got someone like Timur Valiev who, I think against Jamal Amos, if Jamal Amos came in the way he fought that fight last time out, I think that he would have been very, very kind of live in that fight with Jamal Amos. I think he would have fought him close. Valiev's a guy I've really, really liked. I got 120 on Kosei and Cross. Decent, well done. I bet Victor Reina. I thought he'd be more durable, and obviously he got pounded out. So, yeah. But yeah, I like Valiev. I think he's too speedy. I think he's got really, really good technical striking. I think he's got good spins. I think he can wrestle. I think he can grapple. What's up? I'm not going to say your name, but I can see Pepe Ganamat. Is that what it is? No idea what that is, but what's up, brother? I like Timur for the simple fact that he's fought better caliber opposition, fights out a really good gym here in America with Mark Henry and so on out there and on the East Coast, and he's a guy that I've had my eye on for the longest time, making his move to the UFC. Like I said, I was going to pick him against Emos, but I think Emos would have fought him close because he looked mightily improved in some spots in that fight last time out. But I like his speed. I like his all-around kind of game here. And Streagle, to me, when I watch some of his fights, it's just very low-level opposition. And when he does, the guys that he is fighting, it's just low-level. And this is a clear jump up in opposition, 18-2 record. Now, in saying that, I think if Streagle gets the right matchups, I do think that he will win some fights. In the UFC, but like I say, I just don't think this is a great matchup for him. So I'm going to take Timur Valiev. I think he could get him out of there, but most likely I think it's a decision. So Valiev for the win there. Matthew Semelsberger against Carlton minus. I saw this betting line on Monday, and Carlton, I think it was more in America than over here in the UK, but he was like, I think Semelsberger was like plus 265, and I'm like, oh, why are you so high? Like, why is that line so high? It was just like stupidly high. And now it's come back to where Semelsberger is plus 105. So if you got on that betting odds, then that's props to you for getting on that. I never had the opportunity to actually look to some fights till last night on Semelsberger. Big power, long. A little bit concerned that he might kind of fizzle himself out later in the rounds here because he does go so hard and he throws a lot of power. And someone like Carlton Minus, I mean, he's not a guy with big power. He's got decent hands, decent boxing, but kind of really picks his shots very precisely, and he's not really a one-punch knockout guy. And I think you need to have power to really keep someone like Semelsberger back, because Minus does back up a little bit. I think he can. What's up, Graham? I think he can get taken down. I don't think Semelsberger's really got the kind of grappling chops to really take this to the ground here. And yeah, Carlton Minus, I mean, he's been fighting out the Alaskan fight scene. I think he's only lost in his record is to Rick Story, which is obviously a great, it's a good opposition to what he's been facing in the Alaskan fight scene when he went to the PFL and did that. But Semelsberger, to me, I think he's got the power to keep someone like Minus back. But I am scared that if it goes past 7-8 minutes of this fight, that Carlton Minus might use that kind of overall more experience and kind of win the fight through that. So I'm actually going to take Semelsberger because I don't think Carlton should really be a betting favourite in this kind of spot here. So I'm going to take him via knockout in the first 2 rounds. Jordan Wright against Isaac Villanueva. I've watched some of this Jordan Wright guy, and he's like, I think he's a rich kid out of Beverly Hills. His nickname is the Beverly Hills Ninja, and if you remember from the Dana White Contender Series in the past, he got absolutely railroaded by Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. But I've watched a couple of videos where he seems quite entitled, and he's another guy that's fought a lot of cans out there, 0-14 records, 0-16 records. Yeah, I don't like his game. He's coming in here, he's gone up to 205 against Villanueva. I think that Ike's not UFC quality, and he got pretty much boxed out there by Chase Sherman, and that's never a good look. It was at heavyweight, he is at 205 here. I do think he's got good hands, I do think he's very serviceable. I do think with the right matchups, I think he can win fights. I think it's a matchup he can win personally. But I want Jordan Wright. I'm not usually when he's like, I want this fighter to lose, but some of the interviews, and like I say, he is a rich kid. He's been, I think he paid like 5 years off at Jackson Wink to train down there. So he's got a lot of money behind him. Inflated record, 10-0. He's all right. He's coming off a really good win over Gabriel Checo. He's a dangerous guy with a fairly decent record. And he's a finisher as well. So, but I don't know whether he can finish someone like Villanueva. I don't think he's got the power to really keep Ike back. So I'm going to take Ike Villanueva in this one. I think that he can maybe knock this guy out with the right shot. I mean, he is moving up to 205 is right. So I'd rather, if I was to make a bet, I'd rather have my money in Villanueva, even though I don't know what the lines are in this one. But I'd rather pick him instead of the kind of prancy boy from Beverly Hills. So I'm going to take Ike for the win there. Mariya Agapova against Shana Dobson. I don't think I'm going to see anybody picking Shana Dobson this week. If I see one person, I'll be surprised. And if that guy wins, I'll send you money. I really, really will. I'll send you some money because this betting line's crazy as well. Minus 1250 on Mariya Agapova. Yeah, what is that to say? Shana Dobson to me has been kept around being beat up by these girls, and she's going to get beat up pretty badly here. Agapova, I mean, she's still very, very green in my opinion. I still think that they're doing the right thing by giving her these type of matchups, but she's long, she's got power, super, super aggressive. I think she's got a Ukrainian, I think she's got she was a reserve in Ukrainian boxing team. I remember reading up about that a little bit there, and she came out in her UFC debut and did the business. I mean, she was, I think, her betting line was actually pretty decent in that fight against Hannah Cyphers. Came out there, hit her with some long shots, but jumped on the back of Hannah Cyphers and really got the submission there. Dobson's not going to take this fight to the ground, where she's got no advantage, I don't think, in this fight, unless she catches Agapova coming forward, counters her with a big shot. I'm going to take Agapova. I think she gets her out of there in the first couple of rounds. I actually think she might submit her again. But she has got some heavy ground and pounders, Agapova, so I think she gets her to the ground, uses that heavy ground and pound, and that'll be it. So yeah, I can see all you guys in the chat there, use are all on Agapova. Like I say, I'd be surprised if I see anybody really picking Dobson, but this is a sport, you never know what could happen. But the UFC know what they're doing by giving her a girl like this here and plumping her up a little bit, so... But yeah, you can never. I'd rather burn my own money in front of me than bet someone like Shana Dobson. So, yeah. Austin Hubbard against Joe Selecki. This is one of the fights I'm really looking forward to. I'm going to pick Joe Selecki. I'm seeing a lot of people, a lot of guys I really respect, make predictions that bet. They've actually bet Austin Hubbard here. What's up, Jason? Hope you're well. Yeah, I think the kind of recency bias is kind of coming in full effect here for Austin Hubbard. He beat Max Roshkov, which that kid, now that you look at it, and even during the fight when he sat in that stool, that guy had there was no way he should have been anywhere near the UFC at this point, even though he was like 5-6-0. I mean, I picked Roshkov. I kind of got drawn into it against the guy who's got far more experience. His hardware is very good. He's very hard to take out. He's very durable. Even when you take him down, like I should have known when watching the Davy Ramos fight that even a massive black belt like Davi Ramos couldn't get him out of there, but I thought someone like Roshkov was really going to get him down there and have his way. And he started off okay, but once he started getting picked apart, he was in big trouble, and you've seen that. And whether we see Max Roshkov in the UFC again, I've no idea. But like I say, Hubbard's, I think he's got the striking advantage here. I think he's a more pure striker, better striker, good cardio, can go really hard for a good 15 minutes. I think Joe Solecki, to me, the way he wins this fight is through his ground game. I think if he can take the fight to the ground and have positional time on Austin Hubbard, then I think that's where he can win the fight. I do think it's really close. The line's kind of drawn me into betting Joe Solecki, I'll be honest with you. Because, and like I say, I know there's some good guys that are on Hubbard, and that's fine. But I like the grappling of this kid. But I was actually watching some interviews with Austin Hubbard, and he's such a nice guy to actually kind of watch and listen to, talk about his game, talk about his training partners, how they make him better, and how they've kind of made his overall game kind of come through two-hold. So, yeah, a tough fight for me here. I can see why you're betting him, especially underdogs odds. Because you say what you want about that last fight, he did look good, and he did get a TKO finish, and he's looked very serviceable in his UFC runs. So, I just like the overall grappling. I think if his boxing has improved and he can be fairly competitive on the feet, I think he can win parts of the round with his position on the ground and winning maybe top time kind of minutes and that. So, close fight. I'm going to lean with Joe Solecki. But you guys, if I might bet Joe Solecki. It depends where that line ends up. But if you're on Austin Hubbard, guys, I wish you all the very best. Amanda Lemos against Mizuki Inoue. I'm seeing a lot of people on Lemos as well. I'm not going to be one of these people. I don't know if it's a recency bias thing because the way she kind of ran through Granger and a lady got a first round finish. But to me, she just doesn't kind of. When I watch her, I think that Inoue can outlast her across the 15 minutes. Now, she has got power. I remember watching her in Glasgow, and she's got big legs. She can really fire shots off. Really nice. And she came back after that USADA suspension. I think she got banned for like 2 years, 2 and a bit years. Came back, got a first round submission over Miranda Granger. But I think a lot of people are just kind of leaning on that a little bit too much to me. In a way, he's got so much experience against top quality opposition. When I say top quality, good oppositions for what she was facing outside the kind of UFC, I should say. You're like Janda Robas, who fought very well last week and looked very composed and looked very skilled on the ground. Viviane Pereira, who was in the UFC, was pretty serviceable in the UFC. They got rid of her, I think a little bit probably too early. And then I thought she deserved the win against Wu Yunan, even though I did think she did get outstruck a little bit, but I thought the more clean, decisive strikes were landing from Mizuki, who's got good technical boxing. I think it's getting better under Ray Longo out there in New York. She's moved, her and her brother have they've set up camp there in the east coast of America with that. And I like what I think she outlasts someone in the chat there. I can't remember who it was. I apologise. Outlasts. I think there could be some squirrely moments in this fight where Lemos can maybe land a big shot. She can maybe pressure in a way a little bit. But I think these rounds are going to be fairly close early on. But I think she comes into the fight later on in the fight and wins the decision. So I've got Mizuki Inoue, and that's another line that kind of tempts me a little bit because the money is coming in on Lemos. Let me see this line. So she's plus 120. I think she was plus 150 at one point on Monday probably. So Inoue's down to minus 140. If that was to hit minus 125, 120, I think I like Inoue at those odds, and I'd probably maybe take a little poke at that. So I've got Mizuki Inoue to win a fairly competitive but very close decision. So, I mean, G, you say you got plus 150. That's the tops there. I think that's good. Yeah, I've got Mizuki in that one there. Moving on, I think we're on to the main card here. There might be another fight with Dwight Grant added after Jared Gooden pulled out, which sucked. This one is a really close fight to me, and I like both guys a lot for different kind of reasons, because Daniel Rodríguez in his 2 fights in the UFC has really impressed me with his performances. I thought he had a really game opponent in Gabe Green last time out, who really gave him a good fight and kept him honest through that entire fight, and I like that. And he had a big win over Tim Means, which I always think will be a good win to have on your resume. Both guys are southpaws, both guys sling shots, Rodríguez to me has definitely got the more output, but Takashi Sato really picks his accurate shots very, very well, and you have to be very careful. He's coming off a win, sorry, against Jason Witt, where Witt was coming in very short notice, and he kind of ran through him, and he was kind of fighting for his dad, who he didn't get to see during. I think he lost him through COVID and such. So that was kind of rough to hear stuff like that. But Sato, I think, has got a bit of a grappling advantage. He's not a guy to really kind of use it though. But both guys, like I say, they might put each other off being both southpaws. But I do like the way Rodríguez really slings his shots out. Like I say, Sato's a lot more technical straight shots, where Rodríguez, he will throw some hooks in there, he'll go at the legs, but he has got some big power, and I think if he was to catch someone very, very clean, he could put them out pretty nastily. Close fight to me, honestly. I initially went into this thinking I quite like Rodríguez, but I think Sato might be able to kind of outlast him. But it's a coin flip fight to me, honestly. When I was looking at the odds, I think Sato at one point was plus 140 earlier on in the week. No, it was plus 150, and now the betting lines went up. I think the betting line should actually be closer. I don't think Rodríguez should be minus 185 in this spot. I think that the fight will play out a lot closer, not unless Rodríguez gets him out of there. So I think I'm going to take the shot on Sato. I like him to kind of win close rounds. Hopefully his output he puts more output, because I think that's what is going to be needed, in my opinion, in this one. But I see another close fight, kind of like Inoue and Lemos, and I'm going to take Sato to get a really good win here. If he gets this win here, I think it's a really good win to have in your resume, because Rodríguez to me is exciting to watch. I've been really enthralled with the two fights that he's had in the UFC. But I know there's actually quite a few people that have messaged me like they really like Daniel Rodríguez this week. I couldn't bet him at minus 185 though. That's not my kind of style to bet that. But who you guys got in the chat there? I'm interested to find out. I'm going to take Sato. I'm going to take him via decision. I think that he just does enough, but I think it's got a close fight kind of written all over it a little bit there. Moving on. Where are we? Marcin Prachnio against Mike Rodríguez, and this is another betting line I'm looking at. I'm thinking, how is Mike Rodríguez? What is he now? I've not even looked at his line. Minus 235, and now I know that Marcin Prachnio, he's had some kind of lol-worthy kind of like his knockout to Sam Alvey. Every time I kind of watch it, I kind of laugh just with how bad it is. Because he just literally runs at Sam Alvey with his chin just like that, and then gets sparked out. So it's that makes me laugh every time I see it. Then he lost to Ankalaev, which is not a bad loss, because Ankalaev is very, very good, and he's going to be very good. And now with no John Jones in the UFC light heavyweight division, he could be a guy that has that belt round his waist. Would not surprise me in the slightest. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that division kind of pans out a little bit. But yeah, Mike Rodríguez to me, I think I picked him against Dang Jung, and I was made to look like an absolute fool in that fight. He's got a lot of athletic tools. I was watching some interviews there. He said he ballooned up to 265 pounds. He thought about maybe taking a fight at heavyweight, but he's managed to get himself back in shape. He's said he was down to like 220, I think it was, which is fine. He's right in the range of hitting his 205 limit. I mean, I feel like I want to pick Prachnio here, but I cannot do it, because that knockout against Alvey where he just gets spanked right in the chin just puts me off so much. And even like Rodríguez, he got like knocked out dead against Dang Jung really, really badly. So and he lost to John Allan as well. So, but he popped. So trash fight in my opinion, very trash fight, very low level. I'm gonna take Rodríguez, even though I've got a funny feeling he's gonna like shit all over this fight here, and somehow Prachnio comes out here and looks impressive against Rodríguez. I cannot trust him at all. Minus 235. Who is betting that guy at odds like that? That's kind of crazy to me. Not saying that he can't come out here and look very, very good and maybe justify that number. But no way, I could not put my money on that. If, like I say, if I had to pick a guy, I'd go on Prachnio, but it's just really, it's a bad pick. I don't want to spend any more time talking about that. I'm going to take Rodríguez, even though I've got zero confidence that he might pull off against one of like the worst guys in the UFC, in my opinion. So Yeah, that's a good point. There's someone saying about the people that are losing here could easily get cut because the UFC are signing a lot of fighters off that Dana White Contender Series. Was it 4 last night? Yeah, it was 4, and then it was 5 the week before, so that's 9 out of 10. So that's a good point actually, that some fighters that are on these kind of cards could definitely get cut, and they're filling up the spaces with these new guys that are coming in from the Dana White Contender Series. Because like I say, there's quite a few that have did that and even been matched up. I know that Impa was matched up, Corey McKenna's been matched up, Adrian Yanez has been matched up. So that's a very good point, whoever brought that up there. Solid point. Who have we got? Co-main event, Ovince St. Preux against Alonso Menifield. I've got no... I think Menifield's obviously got a lot of physical tools. You can see that. You can see that he's still a very, very young fighter, but he's got a lot of power. And he's got a lot of kind of learning to do, but I like the fact he's got Saif Saud, who will probably teach him and kind of guide him through that and take him and make him better in that spot. Coming off his first loss there, where the gas really kind of went out of him, and that's something that I think he definitely has to work on. He's a very muscular dude. Devin Clark actually fought a really, really good fight, mixed it up well, but you can still see the power that Menifield has, because his eye was messed up, jacked up really, really badly. But I've got no confidence in St. Preux. I think he's really on his way out. I don't think he looked great against Ben Rothwell when he moved up to heavyweight, and now he's moving back down. There's some fights in this card I have no confidence in whatsoever. And I mean, St. Preux, I think if he can get this fight to the mat, I think he has a decent advantage there, but it's hard to really be confident for him to get there. He's lost 3 of his last 4. Of course, it's against better opposition than what Menifield's faced. I mean, Krylov's dangerous, Reyes is fighting for a belt soon, Rothwell's a very serviceable guy up at heavyweight. He's been around for a long time, a lot of experience, hits hard as well. Don't trust the chin OSP, and with someone like Menifield, whose hands can really go off, and he can catch you with very short shots and put you out. I think I have to lean Menifield, but I'm honestly not. I'm not really super confident, because I think if someone gets this fight to the ground, if OSP gets there, we've seen that he locks things up from various angles. So I think that if OSP does it, I think he has to do it early, and that's kind of weird considering that Menifield looked really terrible late on in that fight against Devin Clark, even though he did kind of hurt him and ping him up a little bit towards the end. What's the betting lines for this? Just let me check. I'm not going to bet this fight in the slightest, by the way, but I just like to check. So Menifield's minus 135, OSP's plus 115. Yeah, I'm going to pick Menifield, but would it surprise me if OSP catches him with one of these submissions on the ground, the Vaughn flu choke? Would not surprise me in the slightest, because we've seen, I think it was the Clark fight where he managed to get him down and get a neck hold, and if OSP gets that opportunity, then he will definitely grasp onto something like that. So I'm going to take Menifield for the win there, and I think he knocks him out as well. I think he knocks him out in the second round, early second. Frankie Edgar against Pedro Munhoz in the main event of the night. Good fight. Don't like the fact that Frankie's moving down to 135 at 38 years old. I think it's 38 years of age. This is, to me, when I look at Frankie Edgar, it's just a division he should have been fighting in years ago, and he was just fighting above his talent level in the UFC. He was in that heavyweight, the lightweight division, moving down to featherweight, and the guy is a legend of the sport without a shadow of a doubt. He's faced many a great fighter, many a great champion, fought for belts. And it's got an absolute, when you look at his who's who of who he's faced, I mean, the Zombie, Max Holloway, Cub Swanson, Ortega, Rodríguez, Stevens, Aldo, Mendes, and I could go on. I'm not even looking down the rest. Is there Faber, Swanson again, BJ Penn, I'm not taking anything away from that. But he fought BJ Penn probably at the best sport of his career, where he was kind of in his prime, and went and took the belt off him there. So yeah, the guy's fought the who's who across 2 of the best divisions in the UFC. Now he moves down to 135 and facing a very tough, durable guy with a lot of weapons in Pedro Munhoz. So I'm just, the big thing that's put me off here is the durability, because I don't know whether he can take the same shots that he can do. We all know Frankie Edgar from the past there, where he could take shots, survive, keep coming and win the fights through there. I don't think he's got that in him anymore. And obviously you're moving down to one, you've got that weight cut, your chin's going to be more susceptible, you've got less water in your body, trying to get down to 135. But he's got a lot of tools here that could maybe win the fight because he has beautiful boxing. Pedro, I think, has actually got fairly decent boxing as well. I think he's got really good underrated leg kicks, which he uses very well. Can engage in a brawl, can also fight a little bit technical as well. Not the speediest of punchers as Munhoz, but I think that it's probably pretty much even with these two here. Both guys, I think, are very dangerous on the ground. You've obviously got the wrestling of someone like Edgar, who predominantly he can use it in some fights and some fights he doesn't. But I think he has to be very, very careful here because Pedro's a guy that's got really good submissions, good guillotine chokes. If he gets to the back, he's dangerous there. I'm not sure. This to me is a good parlay piece actually with Pedro Munhoz. I think you could put him with someone, and I could be fairly confident. I'd like the line to become a little bit lower with that, but I mean you've got so much experience on the side of Frankie and championship experience in 5 rounds, where Pedro really hasn't got that. I think he fought in it might have been the old RFA, where he defended his belt and he went 5 rounds in that, if I remember right off the top of my head. But I mean, Frankie's been there, done that, but the durability to me kind of scares me. But would it surprise me if he kind of fights some of these rounds close with Pedro? No, I don't think so. I think Pedro is a really good fighter. I really like watching him because he's very good across a vast amount of areas. But I'll be interested to see if this goes into 4 and 5 and see what his kind of card is going to be for that. I assume that it's going to be decent, and I think Frankie, if this is where he's not taking many big shots in the feet, then I think that he could get takedowns, a little bit of positioning down there, but I can see Pedro getting back to his feet and making it close. But to me, I've got Pedro. I think that more things side to me on that side than Frankie's at this point, and just 38 moving down to that division. I mean, what's going to happen if he wins this fight? He's going to be given one of those top guys in that top 5 of that division, and they are monsters like a Sanhagen, or I don't think he would ever fight a Stalin, but in fact he probably would actually. But then you've got Marlon Moraes. I don't think he would ever really fight him because he's a teammate. But yeah, I don't know what his longevity in this kind of division is going to be. I'm going to take Pedro Munhoz, even though I think these rounds could end up being close. I've seen one of my big pet peeves is people writing fighters off, like online on Twitter, and I think that's why I don't tweet as much anymore, and I stay off Twitter a little bit, because people they disrespect the show former fighters or fighters. Now I'm sure I've said some things on here that I shouldn't be saying, because I'm a guy that loves watching these guys fight, but I absolutely respect them utmost. I respect these guys so much because I see the work they put in. I've been in the gym when I've seen them do work. And then you see them during fight week, what they've got to do to make weight, just to make the fight. But it's some of the people can, like I say, I've said some things and I've got called out in it. This is the thing with me making videos. If I've been making videos, and then you go to fight cards and the fighters themselves or their team will actually pull me up and talk about why I picked against their guy, or I said something wrong. I'm like, dude, I'm just a guy that likes watching fights and likes talking about fights, and funnily enough, some people like listening to me talk about fights. So, like I say, it's just my opinion. Most of the time it's wrong on the fight, but I just like speaking about fights. But it's crazy, some of the disrespect I've seen in Edgar, and like he's going to get blasted out here, and he has no right facing Pedro Munhoz, and I'm just like, what is going on? Like, this is a guy that was a champion, defended his belt in one of the best divisions at 155. So yeah, I'm going to take Munhoz. I'm kind of going into a tangent a wee bit there. I'm going to take Munhoz. I think he can maybe catch a guillotine choke, actually. I think that's something he could definitely catch, and maybe get Frankie out of there. But again, wouldn't surprise me if Frankie really shows up here and gives Pedro a tough fight. But I'm going to take Munhoz. That's going to be my pick. So I appreciate all you guys in the chat there. I've seen you all there. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the thumbs up. And if you any late stragglers want to give me a thumbs up, I much appreciate that. And if you're new to the channel, hit that sub button. We're on the way to 3,000, 4,000 I should say, subs. Just my 2 cents. I must thank you. You're in here every week. I must say thank you for that. I appreciate it. Until next week, guys. What is the card next week actually? That's actually threw me right off. Rakic against Smith. Yeah. So that's an interesting fight there. So until next week, guys, all the very, very best. Take care and enjoy the fights this weekend.